So in this video I will be reviewing some viewer footage that they have sent in, and I mean it's a mix of a little bit of everything. Some tips about like cornering, like line choice mainly, which is a big thing I see that people struggle with. So basically this video is good for all skill levels, I would say. And before we get into it, I have to say a quick word from our sponsor, which is me, that if you want coaching or reviews of your gameplay, join my Discord in the description. Coaching is like $5, so make sure to check it out in the Discord. So the first thing I'm noticing right away is you should be in third gear here, because your bike is bogging a little bit, like being in too low RPMs, so you don't really get to drive. So we can kind of look again, like your bike isn't really driving forward that well. And so going in a lower gear would really help to like kind of have the bike stable, to go more straight and stable. Next up, coming on this jump, you land kind of flat here, and you see that your bike is kind of going sideways, like go back just a little bit. When you're accelerating, your bike getting a little bit of kick in the front, and I would say lean. If you land flat like this and your front wheel bounces off, you need to lean forward on your acceleration, because otherwise the bike is going to wheelie a little bit, like your front end is going to lift off the ground, and that is probably what is happening right here. So you can see as you like grab a handful of throttle, your bike kind of does a swerve and you lose your momentum. You can look at it again as you accelerate it, and it's also a combination of you probably moving your left stick a little bit too fast, like being too quick on the left stick. So if you're landing flat like that, make sure to lean a little bit forward so the front wheel stays on the ground. And next up, in the next corner, I want you to look at this. See your line. You're coming in and you're going straight into the rut, and you get a little bit of kick because the angle is sharp. You're kind of slamming in. You're coming to a stop in the rut here, instead of going over here where you see this nice smooth line with no like kind of, you don't slam in if you go on the outside here. You just enter very smooth. Just take a look. Coming in, kind of slamming into the rut, your front wheel lifts up and you like bounce around like that. You do similar thing here. You're entering too much on the inside, or like too much to the right. Here's a good line. See, it's an opening here where you can enter the rut. You're going in here, so you kind of have to hop into the rut and you're kind of slamming into the rut. And the key to this is all the way over here. Move over to here. You want to end up here. Now you're just going straight to the corner. But if you just do this a little bit more sweep, you will have a lot better entry to the corner. So see, if you enter wider, you don't have to like jump into the rut. So going into this corner, you see you have a lot better entry. You're entering in the opening here, and look how smooth you are able to just glide into the rut. Very nice. The problem is though, you are just rolling into the corner and you're slowing down a lot. So you're almost like stopping. You're going super slow in the middle of the corner, and this is a long, wide corner. But the thing that happens, you're slowing down and then you start going again. So let's look at it again. You're coming in, you're actually doing somewhat nice entry, slowing down a lot, and then you start going again, and you get this kind of jump where you slow down and it suddenly start to accelerate, and that's awkward and slow. Instead, what I want you to try to do is, you can, when you enter nice here, then you can go faster into the corner. And the next thing, you can roll a little bit until you're settled in the rut properly. And because it's so wide, you can have a little bit of throttle, like you can have like 30% throttle all the way here. And once you like the corner starts to open up at the end over here, then you can start to accelerate a lot more. But the thing I want you to do, I don't want you to slow down and come to a stop in the middle of the corner, because then you get this kind of stop and then start again, and that's just awkward. It will be a lot easier eventually when you get comfortable to go a little bit faster, like just a little bit faster. You don't want to send it into the corner necessarily. You want to like go at a comfortable speed, but at this yellow line here, about here, you want to get on the throttle a little bit, like 20-30%, and you slowly increase the throttle, and here you can start to accelerate more. So here you maybe are at like 80-90% throttle and 100% throttle, just to keep your momentum, and the throttle actually stabilizes you in the corner. So having throttle in the corner actually makes your bike stable, because the thing is, if you have too little throttle, well, your bike is going to want to fall down and land on the ground. Too much throttle and your bike want to go straight. But having throttle in between, it will be stable and settled into a rut. So basically all I want you to do is have a little bit of throttle starting here and then rolling, and about here you can start to accelerate out. Right here we have a perfect example of braking too late. You came too fast and it's scary to brake in the bumps, and you should not brake in the bumps. Like here is the braking bumps, you don't want to brake here because that makes the suspension work less good. So the thing I want you to do is actually slow down here, roll, and with a little bit of throttle into the corner. All this yellow line over here, starting from here over the bumps, just rolling, keeping a little bit of throttle, because right now you are accelerating until here and you realize there are braking bumps here and you don't want to brake in the braking bumps, so you just end up going off the track. You can see how your bike is kind of nervous in the front, like it's not connected to the ground, it's going a little bit sideways, a little bit up and down, going out of the corner. We can look at it again, right here. And that is because it's a sudden acceleration and you're leaning back. And sudden acceleration and leaning back means the front end wants to lift off the ground. So the thing I want you to do is, first of all, have a little bit of throttle in the corner as I talked before, and experimenting with leaning forward in the corners. Like all the way here, when you're like, your acceleration is good, like you get on the throttle at a nice timing, you stay in central, and the thing I want you to do is to lean a little bit more forward just to keep the front end on the ground at all times. So coming here, you have nice throttle, but you want to lean a little bit more forward. Next up, a scrub, and you seem to get a little bit like front end going down. The main thing I see in this is you need to use your right stick more. When you're coming up here, I would say your left stick, probably a little bit too quick on your left stick, first of all. I would say at this point in the jump, you should start moving your left stick a little bit, and you gradually move your left stick all the way up here. You move your left stick a little bit late, and you do it a little bit fast, like moving your left stick a little bit too fast. But also with your right stick, you need to be about central here. So you want your right stick to be here, whereas your right stick is down here, right? And what that does is when we get to the top, you're doing it like somewhat good on the left stick, that's good. But you can see your right stick is completely still. We want to use our right stick as well to kind of out here and then swoop down like this with your right stick. By staying first central and then leaning back, we are able to soak up the kick from the jump. But instead what you do is when you are about to take off, you actually move your right stick forward. Let's look at it in slow motion. See your right stick and it goes forward. You want your right stick to go backwards when you're scrubbing. So lean forward a little bit and shift down to third and have more throttle. Obviously, since it's flat, you have to like be very careful with how much throttle you have so you don't slide out on the rear tire. But lean more forward and you will probably find that you're more comfortable going faster and having higher RPMs and just being like kind of more aggressive on the throttle in a way. You want to be a little bit aggressive on your throttle but still smooth on your throttle, if that makes sense. But overall, I would say, first of all, experimenting with leaning forward in the corners and like leaning more forward overall. Like you want to lean back on the braking bumps, you do that really well, but leaning forwards in the corners could help. Second of all, your line choice, like enter at the beginning of the rut, because sometimes you cut into them and you cannot slam into the rut, and that's like awkward and it's slow and you get like weird things and you crash. Second of all, sometimes you need to be on your throttle earlier in the corners, like just a little bit of throttle. And lastly, shift down and that could mean that you have to work more with your rider lean, like forwards and backwards to control. But I think you will find in some areas where like it's so much straight that having a lower gear and more throttle, it will make the bike go more straight and more stable and more controlled. So experimenting with having like higher RPMs and going a little bit faster by shifting down. Yeah, so the first thing I notice is line choice again, or like line choice in a corner. The thing you end up doing is you're going on the inside, or like you're hitting the middle rut, but you're going very much to the left of the rut. So you like kind of going this way, right? The thing you want to do instead is you want to enter wider here to open up the corner and get a wider line. This first of all helps you stay in the rut, because you enter at the very beginning and you get into the rut properly. And second of all, you can go a lot faster if you take this blue line, because it's wider and you open up the corner. So see what's end up happening when you go to the inside. Like, you don't really get into the rut properly. Here is another example when you're coming into too much to the left. Like, you don't really get into the rut. This time you decide to go on the inside here. And the inside is a little bit tricky, because you have to go fast enough to get over it nice, but if you're going too fast, you're gonna end up jumping off the track. The most important thing is your line choice again. You're doing like this, means you have to go real tight and you have to go really slow, and slow is difficult and just slow. Instead, go over here, you can go a straight line, and if you're over here, you can be smoother, and in this game, smoother is faster. So you can kind of see, like, you're getting a weird angle, you end up slowing down a little bit too much, and you make a mistake. The thing I think you want to do is take this line, but then you need to be over here. So take this line like this. Just now you're coming into this, and now you're not following in the same direction as the corner. So it's gonna be this one again, this sharp turn. And like the inside is no good, it's really slow right here. If you want to take this line, you gotta be over here, and if you want to take the line outside, you gotta be over here, so you get nice, smooth. You kind of you start to turn before the corner to angle yourself to get into the rut properly, right? So be a little bit more to the left, because otherwise you're gonna have struggle with getting into the rut like that. And then coming into the next corner, you're going a little bit too fast. You need to slow down here, because there's braking bumps here. Over here. So you should slow down over here to then roll here and have a little bit of throttle. Like, you want to go slow and just keep momentum, and that way you can get into the rut properly, because the rut is not that big over here. It's kind of small. So you have to go a lot slower to get into this rut. It is easier if you slow down here and then let the bike settle over the bumps, use a little bit of throttle, and then here you do the corner as normal with a little bit less speed. And if you have a little bit less speed, you won't go over the rut. And over here you are trying to take the inside line, this here, which I think is faster. I like to take the inside, but you do one small mistake. You're good on the right side, but the thing you want to do is you want to be a little bit of throttle, you want a little bit higher speed going over the jump. Because now what happens? Well, you land here. It's hard to see, but it's a little bit slanted, like it's going a little bit downside. And you generally prefer to land over here, and you take this line, right? You're landing more in this direction, and a little bit too early, and a little bit too slow. So you need more speed over the jump, and one thing to make it easier is you want the bike to be straight, going straight over here. You're still kind of turning. I don't know if you notice it, but you're still kind of turning on the bump. You want to, as you come about here, you want your bike to be more straight. Obviously you're gonna turn a little bit, but you want the bike to be more straight. And that means that you have to come in with a straighter line like this. Right now you're doing a more sweep like that. So go a little bit straighter and go a little bit faster will probably help. And as for this jump, you are jumping way too far here, especially if you want to land on the inside. Like, you want to be precise, so either you want to land here or here, depending on if you want to take the inside line or the middle line. I would say the inside is probably fastest because it's a shorter distance, and the middle line, it kind of goes out on the inside, outside, so it's a little bit awkward. If you want to take this line, I think you should land over here, so you can get straight. Now you're going, now you're doing this again, going here and then over here. Like, and it's just a little bit awkward and a little bit scary to land like in the middle of the rut. And right here you're going a little bit too fast into the corner. You want to slow down a little bit, and then accelerate in the corner. Right now you're kind of going a little bit too fast and you end up going out of the corner. So you slow down a little bit more to get into the rut and accelerate out of the rut. So if we look again, you're going a little bit too fast. Instead, slow down and get into the rut properly. But overall, you also have a good understanding of what to do. You do it really good sometimes. I think you have to slow down a little bit to think about being a little bit smoother in your riding overall. Just make sure to get into the ruts instead of trying to go fast into the corners. So slow down a little bit into the corners and really get into the rut. Be smooth, and your line choice, you need to enter wider in the corners, more to the outside on the rut, so you can carry more speed and it will be easier. So starting off, we have actually MxB ranked race, so I thought I'd just touch on some things for like racing wise as well. And first off the start, nice leaning a little bit forward in the very beginning, not to do a wheelie, but lean back as fast as possible. And in the start, it's all about just not crashing. It's a lot better to check up a little bit over the jump, just to make sure that you don't crash, because you lose so many positions in the early laps. Coming in here, you are about to do a nice pass on the inside, and it's really good that you go to the outside here and leave the other person a lot of room, because some people are just stupid and just take you out. So it's better to be safe in that situation. So coming into this corner, we have a lot of small choppy bumps right here, and the thing I want to do is actually, I think you could stay in third gear all the way here, and you want to have a little bit more throttle than you currently have. Now your bike is kind of engine braking a little bit, and once you're in the corner, you can shift down if you want, but keep a higher gear here with a little bit lower RPMs and have a little bit more throttle, so that the bike kind of just rides over the bumps. So keep a little bit more speed here, a little bit more throttle. And the other thing, if you have a little bit more speed and throttle, it's easier to stay to the edge of the rut up here, because right now you're staying a little bit low, and what's end up happening is you're kind of taking this curve, so you're slamming, not really slamming, but your corner starts over here. Here's when you hit the rut, properly on the edge, and that makes you mess up in the end. So if you go here, it's very smooth, and you go straight out. What happens for you in this clip is you go here, you start turning here, and you end up going a little bit too much to the left. See, you start very late in the corner. So enter wider so you can start the corner earlier. Also, this is a corner where you need to have somewhat high momentum and speed. You want to be rolling, but you want to be rolling somewhat fast, because if you have some speed, it's easier to keep on the edge of the rut, but keeping higher momentum and rolling speed into this corner will make it easier. And you never have to go down to first gear on a 250. Second gear is the lowest you ever will go on the track. The section, the corner starts all the way on this jump. You need to be rolling fast. You don't really want to be braking, because if you're braking, you're losing all your momentum. You want to be roll fast over here. You can even jump just a little bit, just to keep the speed, because now you're slowing down you're slowing down a lot, and you're going a little bit too slow. And another thing you're kind of struggling with is you're getting on the throttle too late. Coming into this corner, you roll all the way here, and at the very end you get on the throttle. Let me just forward. So you roll all the way here, and about here you get on the throttle. The thing you want to do is you want to get on the throttle all like earlier over here. You don't want to have a lot of throttle here, but you want to start to have your throttle here, like maybe like 30, 40%, 50% here. And once you get to about here, here's when you go full throttle out. What you did is you started to accelerate here. That means you're losing, first of all, you're losing a lot of speed, you're going slow. And second of all, you're going so slow over here that like the bike is starting to have a little bit of pebbles of physics. Not a lot, but like you do a bit of a wobble over here, and if you go a little bit faster and throttle earlier, those things won't really happen as often. So look here, coming in, rolling into the corner, and then getting on the throttle late. You had good speed into the corner, but you just got on the throttle a little bit too late. Another mistake you do sometimes in some corners is you come in a little bit too much to the inside in the corner. Like with the outside, I mean here, and with the inside, I mean here. And you're coming in with this on this pink line, and you get this sharp turning here. So your corner is basically at this angle, while the like rut and corner itself is at the blue line. Like the blue line is a lot wider, and the wider the corner, the faster you can go, and the wider the corner, the easier it is. So if you instead would have entered over here instead of the purple line, you will first of all be faster, and you will skip the small like weird wobbles and stuff you have in the exit of the corner. So enter on the edge here instead of coming in here, and you will be a lot faster. I want you to notice when you start being on the throttle in this corner. It's nice and early, and look how like smooth and fast you went. Preferably you would have stayed in second gear, like your bike is strong enough to handle second gear in that corner. When coming into this corner, you slow down a little bit more, because you're going a little bit too fast and you end up going over the berm. So you slow it down a little bit more, and you should be able to hook into the rut properly. Same with this corner, you're coming in a little bit too fast. So if we look at it again, just slow down a tiny bit and just let it roll, and then you accelerate out of the corner, because now you're kind of trying to go too fast into the corner. And look how much better you do it when you actually enter on the edge of the rut there. So if we take a look again, see you're entering over here now. So you're going here and you're just smoothly following it out. In the ranked video you went in here. If you go in here you can carry a lot more speed, and it's a lot smoother, and it's a lot easier to go where you want after the corner. So just take a look when you're entering wide. And looks how much easier it is when you're carrying a little bit of speed. We can look at it again. You're coming in a lot faster, and you're actually opening up the corner by going outside. We look here, you're entering, and you're opening up the corner here. So you're taking a wider line, which means you can go faster. Like it's easier to go fast compared to the other line that is like this. I think the best line is somewhere in between, where you go here and like normal line is over here. I think if you go here, so you can like get into the rut properly in the very beginning, and you can accelerate out, because now you kind of have coming on the outside, and you kind of have to hop into the rut rather than just entering it smooth. So just move a little bit more to the middle here on the yellow line, so you don't have to hop into the rut. You can just enter it nice and smooth, but much better when you have more speed. But yeah, overall you definitely have a good idea of what to do. You just have to carry a little bit more speed into the corners, like more momentum. You just roll a little bit faster into the corners on your ranked games, and when you're just casually running. And when you are hot lapping, you slow down a tad bit into the corners, enter wider in the corners like you did in the hot lap video, So that's all for this video. I hope you found it interesting and helpful, like maybe you struggle with similar things. I might be doing this kind of things in the future as well. So join the Discord in the description if you have any questions, join my Discord or just put a comment